Hey guys, okay, Frankie V from FrozenSand here. It's been a while since I've done any kind of behind-the-scenes kind of video blog, which doesn't mean I haven't been doing stuff. There's probably not a day that goes by that I'm not thinking about our little urban terror project here as to, you know, developing stuff in general. And last few days I've been playing with a new plug-in solution presented by DAZ 3D called Send to DAZ to Unreal. Now the cool thing about this little feature here is it does manage to preserve the fidelity of our asset, this in particular, this character we have in the scene here, which we'll be talking about in just a second, and be able to export it to Unreal 4 with all the goodies intact without having to mess around with reestablishing materials and so forth. And that's the nature of a send to, is by design intended to preserve fidelity of asset moving out of one application and into the other. FBX did a pretty good job, but unfortunately it really laid waste to the materials in that what you see in front of you based on the NVIDIA visual driver didn't translate very well into Unreal 4, so it kind of failed on that regards, and as well as a few other choice problems, like for properly mapping the eyes, so you landed up with zombie eyes in Unreal 4. And I really didn't feel comfortable recommending DAZ Studio and Genesis as a replacement for the Epic rig, but now that they've come out with plugin solutions for both DAZ Studio as well as being able to input into Unreal 4, it's I certainly have no problems endorsing its use. Now, I do plan on doing a much more in-depth overview of the potential, the probabilities, especially as it relates to Unreal 4 or Urban Terror, and what it means to members of our community that likes to get involved in this kind of stuff. Just to kind of touch on it, Urban Terror has a history of allowing third-party introductions of assets like third-party maps, as well as fun stuff, and not making any promises here, but the desire is still there to basically move forward to the Unreal 4 engine, carry on from there as business as usual. So, the idea is to keep it the same, but, make it different, and of course make it better. So I just wanted to quickly point this out here. I won't go into too much details, but you can see that it has some very, very few check off items that you need to be able to export this. So basically, if I hit the accept button right now, out it goes directly into Unreal 4, which has a lot of utility programs that are supplied by the plugin on that side that allows you to, say, retarget and retask various different types of animations. But just kind of like wanted to point out the improved choose morph feature. Now, the Genesis 3 framework, as well as the Genesis 8 framework, comes with over time you can develop a boatload of morph targets. We can see over here over time, and you can see over in this panel here. Well, I don't know how many there actually are, but there's quite a few hundred. Some people might even have a few thousand, and I just wanted to kind of point out something here that's pretty cool, is JCMs, which are joint control morphs. That's how the magic is done on this, is that based on the angle, the shaping of the figure is driven by a morph target. So you get, particularly in DAZ Studio, picture-perfect representation of the character without having to resort to changing skin weighting to a different system, which tends to funk out once you start applying animations to it. So we're going to cancel that because if I go ahead and export this, then it's going to take quite a while to export it. So just wanted to point out the essentials at the moment. Okay, so for example, I think you can see that it's rather difficult to actually find anything here, that there's so much of it. Hidden. Okay, normally hidden would be, these would be the corrective poses. These would be the JCMs for the Genesis 3, or the JCM, yeah. These would be the JCMs for the Genesis 3 figure. And the nature of the beast is that if we export this with the Genesis framework, then all the morph targets that are contained within the Genesis 3 base is translated through the entire chain of various elements that are attached to it. So if I look at, for example, I think we're done with this. So if I hit the accept button with then now we'll export the morphs that I've selected. There's none of this setting up rules, which was a gamble. It was a guess that it would work or not, and it was difficult because you would have to wildcard select, and you usually landed up with targets that you didn't want. Now you can go in and refine your morph selection table and export it that way. So if say we missed something, we can then go back to the choose morphs and select that morph and apply it to the export list, and then we can update the character over in Unreal 4 by re-exporting this out, and it will show up onto the character in Unreal 4. So morphs galore, easy peasy. Press a button, press accept, and off it goes. And then of course the bridge will handle everything else. Okay, so kind of take a look at what we got going down here. This is my version of well, we'll look at just a sec. I'm gonna get a little dried out here. Sorry. This is actually an informal video, of course. This is my asset version of Cryisis, as in Ken, the engine that I'm sending this to, actually parse this as a complete model. And she's a brute, and I've never really I kind of attempted before to bring her over into Unreal 4, because it's a very interesting figure in level of detail, the number of materials that have been applied to it. It's as I said, it's Cryisis in mesh form, and I have actually the NVIDIA driver turned on. So at this point here, you got a kind of an idea what's going on here. I'm going to turn that off because it just sucks the living daylights out of the performance of my computer. So by the time we actually move over to Unreal 4, it's basically locks up because there's just no processing power left. It takes everything just to render this character in a still frame like this. So here are the parts that it's made up of. And you can see that there is almost a part for every part of the body. Now, this being legend, here is the marketplace information onto it. It's 40% off, or $29.37, and of course it's purchased. And if we go through it, we can see what we get with this particular character. These are all the parts that are applied to it. You get a sword prop. This is a static mesh prop, so it needs special consideration when you import it into Unreal. Well, if you want to import it into Unreal 4, it needs to be sent off as a separate unit, just so you can reattach it to. So here are some of the styles, the black and gold, antique, and so forth. Lot more different textures and combinations, as we'll see in just a moment here. Here's our helmets. You could just see the excellent detail that's going on in here. I'm showing the pictures off here because I want you to get kind of an idea what it should look like as far as maintaining the fidelity of assets. Okay, we have different options for shoulder pads and gloves and what have you. And we can send these out in parts, individual parts, and still be able to translate any kind of additional type of asset translation from the Genesis 3 framework onto Legend that is usable once we import it into Unreal 4. Okay, so we're just kind of cycling through all the different parts that are available and the detailing that are involved in it. You can mask things off, and we should be getting to the pictures pretty soon. So if you're looking for a knight in shining armor for $29.99, you can have a configurable character wearing armor. I want to show you just one last thing once I get done through showing the pictures off here. Okay, here's all the assets available within the browser. For $30 you get a lot. Okay, here's some clay stills. Here's some more images of the character wearing the armor and the different variations of that armor. So you can have one character. You have an asset pool that can be converted into more or less any kind of character that you want. So you can see here's the bodysuit, just to give you kind of an example of the kind of characters with this, based on the individual items that are available to you, and create unique characters. Like here's another unique character. All the same assets, basically. Really nice gold illustration. The Lonely Warrior type of configuration. It looks pretty good. A lot of gold. We'll continue on forward. I really like this. This is this has a dirt layer added to it. So the point to showing all these pictures, as I mentioned, is just to give you an idea of how how this all should look once we move things over to Unreal 4. We can add different items like hair. We can actually change the footwear if we wish. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the slideshow. You can also basically ignore the interactive license unless you plan on including all this gear in your project as a deliverable. The interactive license is only required if other people, if you're going to sell your game with this as a usable asset. The Genesis Daz 3D is a very unusual company in that eventually you will probably see the interactive license disappear, because they're into selling digital art. I don't think they really care about an interactive license or not. It's just a means of controlling it, and at the moment there is a sale on Daz Originals, or the interactive license per piece item of about $5. So go away. I'm busy. You go over there. Thank you. So that's good news. I'm getting dried out. It's just been one of those hot, muggy days. Okay, now you stop that. So demonstrating the last one thing is Genesis 3 and Genesis 8 is a framework system, and meaning that anything that is attached to it is conveyed and inherited through the base framework of the character. So we can do various different configurations to it, but the interesting thing is, of course, is once it's glued to the character, we can change the shaping of the character to anything that we wish by just simply rotating a dial. Okay, so I got troll, ogre, hag. I should just select one. Let's try the goblin. So you can see there's our goblin, and as you can see, the the clothing has been reconfigured to fit the frame automatically, and if we hit the NVIDIA rendering frame here, this is a great shot of the actual mesh density of this character. This is what I call it the crisis of digital assets, because the polygon or tris count on this is humongous, and but yet pliable. So we'll just wait for this to actually render this back out using NVIDIA. And there we go. You can see there's our goblin version of our legend for Genesis 3. So I think that kind of completes that show and tell. Now now the proof is in the pudding, or as the saying goes, the demo. And if we bring up Unreal 4, which is over here, okay, see, there's what I told you. With the NVIDIA array turned on, it's just sucking the juice. Okay, so we bring our scene here with legend in place, as promised, with maintaining the fidelity of the asset as to materials that are applied. You know, there's our eyes. Those would normally be zombie eyes, but they've been properly textured mapped. So everything about this is true to form. Now, once I get to the actual overview, I'll show you what's available in the plugin directory as a utility. There are tools there that help you to retarget the different characters using the Epic rig, and also translates the animation blueprints so that it can be used with whatever character that we bring in. So there's actually a video out there. If you go to the DAZ site and check out the bridge, there will be a demonstration video. It's about 5 minutes long that shows you how to set up the plugins, how to export the item from the scene, and how to import it into Unreal 4, and how to retarget the Genesis 3 or Genesis 8 framework to the Epic skeletal rig, and also make use of the blueprint. So basically, they point-click, say, use this. It has some prefix files that you just point this, and it automatically adjusts the key posing, and then you press the go button, and everything happens quite quickly. And if it's true to the video, then it is actually a very simple process to do. And so it's really a hoot to be able to see DAZ 3D models running around, especially our little Cryisis asset here. And let's kind of just take a quick look a little closer. The environment, okay, I have to say that YouTube is nasty about with its file compressions and so forth. So you're not getting the full impact of it unless you look at it at the local level, or even the master video file that's being created, which is going to take forever to upload. But you can see that it handles materials pretty good. We got this, you know, it looks, if we look closer to it, it does look similar to the pictures that I showed you. Hopefully you'll remember them, as to some of the reflective qualities of a non-ray traced asset. Keeping in mind that iRay is ray traced, that's why it takes it forever to render out in DAZ Studio. So this is you know, a pretty good conveyance of the fidelity of the original asset as to expectations. You know, everything else would be tweaking, like you know, I was going to tweak things out a little bit, but I wanted to show the result in the harshest light possible, without you know, that really would sell the result. you know, a little bit of lighting fixing here and there, and a little bit of reflectiveness adjustments and color balancing and what have you, and it would pretty well look as much as to the original source. Now, see why this is so chubby. If we look at the legend file here, the number of triangles is 807,935. You try to bring this into any other game engine, and it's just going to look at you and say, you want me to do what? So there is a lot of details, and I showed you during the rendering over there in that studio. It is so heavy that the mesh density it looks more like paint than it does mesh detail. So it is an extremely highly detailed studio quality type of asset that I bought it more for doing benchmark testing because, well, we like to make our own characters. But it would be just cool to be able to start throwing stuff like this in, particularly if we're talking about doing continuing on with fun stuff. Just to mention it again, I'm not making promises. It's just how things used to be. Now, I kind of showed off the translation here that I quickly demonstrated. Here is, oh, come on. Now you're going to take forever to rebuild your shader, aren't you? Okay, hold on for a sec. Okay, so here's the dwarf version of the of what we saw over in that studio. Short, chubby. We can put a war hammer onto it, change a bit of the armor, like make her look a little vicious and what have you. But as you can see, it translates over. This is, well, best save for the overview, because it's going to be a lot longer than this one, that's for sure. But let's take a look at what is what here. Yeah, I'm not going to go sideways on this. This is the proof in the pudding is 807,000. Tris count is huge. I should have put more into it so I can hit 1 million. It always makes me happy when I hit 1 million, because it can do it. Okay, so this is on the Genesis 3 framework, and then I basically threw in some animations to make it move. I have some sword fighting stuff going on to animations too as well, which once I get to the mega overview, I'll apply proper animations to our legend here to kind of illustrate the once again the animation capabilities of this as a character. So you can see, for the lack of 200,000 K Tris, it's not slowing down at all. And for Hoot, I'll set things to cinematic. Maybe it's just me, but that impresses the hell out of me that something close to 1 million polygons can still move in with accuracy inside the game engine. No idea what the frame count is. Don't care, because it still looks good. So hopefully next time around I'll have a better looking scene. I didn't do much work with the environment. This is actually a really, this is a worst case scenario. It doesn't even have any backside, so it's got a huge leakage problem. Everything is kind of leaking from the outside in. But anyways, I was just so impressed with Little Miss Cryisis here to be able to just work. Gone from that studio into Unreal 4, threw some animations onto it, hit the go button, and it just plays. You can just sit around all day long. Well, I like Genesis 3 because I have a pretty big library of Genesis 3 parts. Genesis 8, some of their characters are definitely superior to Genesis 3 because, of course, it's a much more recent version. and they have what I would consider more normalized characters. Most of the models are either GQ catalog ready or or suitable for the Playboy cover. So you know, I like to see a lot more real world type of fantasy characters or human beings and what have you. Okay, so hopefully I didn't go too long. More cool stuff to come. The overview is going to look a lot better than what I got going here, because of course I want make sure that we have the best possible situation going on, rather than the purpose of this video is just to basically take what's over there, throw it in here, and see what survives the trip, the voyage. Okay, so we'll consider this one done, and catch you later on. Bye.